afternoon. I like that jump to action, Sylvia. Liza, that was you jumping to action. Good. We've got Amber on. I'm just going to do a little blurb before we get started. So thank you, everyone, for attending the program, the Women in Entrepreneurship program. This is our third webinar of the fall, and we are planning to have more in the spring. So attendees, while we have you as a little bit of a captive audience, if you have any ideas or suggestions for what you'd like to see in the spring, please let us know. You can email us at WiE@boisestate.edu, and I'm going to ask Miranda and Alessandra to check and make sure that I have that email address correct. You can put in comments just in the chat in this session, but what you'd like to see. We have a great movie that was developed following 5 women entrepreneurs. And we also have the director of the movie lined up to give a talk in the spring. But what else would you like to see? What else can we do to support women in entrepreneurship in the Boise area? Okay. Also, one other item that I want to say is very much a thank you to Hal Eastman for supporting this program. He's the one that actually drove it into being, provided the funding, and got us all excited about doing it. And we're going to keep working on it and make it better. Alessandra and Miranda certainly get a huge thank you for keeping this show on the road, keeping me organized, and just making everything work. All the website information and everything you see on Hay Summit is all their work. Okay, so let's get to the fun part and talk to our panelists. We have 3 panelists today. We have Sylvia and Liza in the same location, and we've all decided, this was Alessandra, Miranda, and I, we love your background. That is just so fantastic.
Except we have to sit apart so that everybody can see it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We might need you to up your volume a bit. I can hear you, but not too much. So if you can crank up your microphone, that might be better.
Is that better? Can you hear us now?
Is it better now? Okay.
It is better. So just to make sure we hear it. But yes, that's what we're trying to get, is that entrepreneurial spirit of just get things done. And Amber, welcome. So what I'd like to do, and Amber, you can leave your microphone unmuted, hopefully, and just join in. I tend to be a bit of an interrupter, and I would love this to be, let's just gab and see where it goes. I do have questions, but as always, it's really your thoughts and ideas that are more important. So to start off, I'd like each of you to do a short introduction, talk about who you are, where you've been, and how you got to where you are today, however you decide to do that journey. So Sylvia or Liza, would one of you like to start?
All right. Well, my journey's just taken an epic turn. So obviously, as many of you know, I started a cleaning company 25 years ago. Started boots on the ground, cleaning people's homes, which led to cleaning their office space. We ended up growing to having 497 employees over the last 25 years. We were in 4 states, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Utah. We became the largest woman-owned company in Idaho. We've had that title, I think, 4 years running. That's based on revenue and employees that we have. And we just sold the company. And I say we because the people that work for me were just so instrumental in everything that I've done. But I sold the company end of August. We closed to the 2nd largest commercial cleaning company in the United States. And way to go. Yeah, so it was really just phenomenal. It was a lot of work. I learned a lot on just what it takes to actually do a merger. It was a very intensive night and day for about a year, but it was phenomenal. So now I'm working with them as a consultant, as well as a couple of other small businesses where I'm just helping them to take a look at what they're doing and growing, and just really retired, having a great time. So I'm not quite sure yet what the next chapter is going to be. Looking at maybe doing a book and doing some speaking engagements. So we'll see.
Way to go. Sounds awesome. As you're talking, I'm going, oh, it sounds like Sylvia may have a tiny bit of free time. How could we use it? You're a resource.
I do. And yeah, I mean, I would love that. And obviously I love teaching and being in front of students and stuff. So if you ever need anything or need some help, I'd be happy to. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's dangerous words to say around the Boise State area, but you might get a few emails. Excellent. Lisa, would you like to go next?
Well, I'll try after that. This trailblazer, amazing woman. I feel as though I'm following your footsteps quite a bit.
She's just right there.
Yeah. So yes, I would love to. I started my first business when I was 9 years old, and it was selling perfume. I'm joking. That's how I first realized I was an entrepreneur. And upon finishing Peace Corps, I jumped into the flower industry, and after 2 years started my true first business, which is Farm Exports. We ship flowers all over the world from Ecuador and farm direct. And in 2001, I started with this idea of FiftyFlowers.com, and hence 2003 founded and disrupted the flower industry by bringing flowers directly from the farm to the consumer's doorstep. And pre-COVID, we were doing about 3,000 weddings a week.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the logistics. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's brutal.
It is brutal because, I mean, it's actually been this really fun ride because, you know, being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of grit, right? That we all have to, you know, the persistence and the never accept no. However, at the same time, there is a happy balance with jumping through the door, and then also just when you're there at the door to knock and realize that whoever you're sitting, every person that you meet it could be influential for your destiny. And, you know, a lot of that, I can contribute a lot of our success to that. You know, today, post-COVID, or in the middle of COVID, you know, we have the word pivoted is not a word. I believe it's overused. We've accelerated into the gifting business and subscription business. And we have flowerfix.com, which is a new website to where we're offering flower subscriptions. And I do have to say, today we're talking about, it actually is quite interesting. And it's it's the same flowers. We're just taking, you know, directly from our farms and our design centers. We're taking these big, beautiful, bodacious bouquets and delivering directly to homes.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, while we're talking about that, I was supposed to put in my thing, promotions of any kind are highly acceptable and encouraged. So putting in the website, I'm now wondering if you ship to Canada. I happen to have family still in Canada.
We do ship to Canada. It's a bit tricky just because of import-export, but we do ship to Canada. I have actually a better way. If for a personal favor, we can get flowers to your family.
That's all right. I was actually thinking of setting up that subscription service for my family. It's like, wouldn't that be an awesome Christmas gift? Hint, hint, everyone out there. Excellent. I think I interrupted you. Was that at the end?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, two quick things. Just to give a magnitude of the company, we have about 60 employees, and both here in Boise, Idaho, and a couple sprinkled throughout the United States. And as well, we're headquartered in Quito, Ecuador, where I have about 30 employees down there. Excellent. So it is an international business that, you know, we cross borders every day, every single day. Yeah. And then
again, the logistics.
It's all 3 years ago, I realized, you know, I've always said we're this flower industry and we sell flowers. No, we don't. We are a technology and, you know, company that is operational experts that delivers flowers.
Yes. The flowers add complexity because it's not like, I don't know, I'm thinking of a box of noodles that has a 2-year expiration date. So it's I love logistics, as you can see, so my brain's just going right to.
We can talk logistics. Just as Sylvia said, I love to share and I love to talk. And I feel as though the more you share, the more you can also learn. And, you know, logistics is one of our fortes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Amber, I'm almost apologetic at putting you at the end of these women, but we've got a nice stage because I think you're a little bit newer in the entrepreneurial growth stage. So come on in and tell us about you and what you're doing and where you're going.
Thank you. I do feel very humbled to be a part of this panel. I'm a new young mom trying to, you know, survive, especially now. But so I started in real estate a little over 15 years ago as a transaction coordinator. And I've just kind of worked my way up. I've done so many different types of real estate, you know, old school door knocking, lead generation, where you're working predominantly with internet leads coming in and making lots of cold calls. And finally settled with Silver Creek about 7 years ago. And then last year created my own group, Better Earth Real Estate. It's been phenomenal. This year I've sold more than I ever have in a year. So
wow.
COVID for me has, you know, I think maybe because I do work a lot predominantly local with my sphere of influence and a lot of regional Idaho people, I didn't lose any ground when there were lockdowns and things like that. So, but really, you know, I wanted to start my group. I thought really long and hard about a name, a foundation that could go global. I was thinking global. I'm not thinking, you know, Boise or even Idaho or even the United States. I'm thinking, you know, I want to sell real estate in Paris. So Better Earth Real Estate. And then of course, my mission statement and my goals are to really try and streamline the process with less paperwork, physical, not, you know, obviously we all have to sign the dotted line, but really trying to progress my partners in reducing our carbon footprint. I just bought a Tesla, so that's really exciting. And eventually, my goal is to develop land. I don't want to tell too many secrets, but I really want to extend this Better Earth dynamic and idea to the community and really get people on board with self-sustainability, reducing our carbon footprint, et cetera. Just, you know, kind of a modern day hippie over here, so.
Way to go. Awesome. What an interesting story. I love the thinking big, and I think that's such a consistent theme with entrepreneurs. So this session, the topic of the day, theoretically, and I put in the word theoretically because we can go wherever we want, we will. But anyways, we'll just start with the topic and see where we end up, is giving your customers exactly what they want. And this is a fun one for me because I immediately want to counter that and go, we don't want to do that. That's not the goal whatsoever. They don't know what they want. However, this isn't for me to pontificate. This is for you guys to discuss. So when you first started your business, how did you go about understanding what your customers wanted or predicting or just anything in that area of the topic? I don't know if one of you want to start. We don't have you all in the same room, so it's hard for you. Sylvia and Liza, you can do the eye contact thing, but it's a little bit more challenging.
I'm just going to kick her under the table.
You might see her like hit my face. We're used to that.
Go for it.
I think I can speak well to this in the sense that when I first started the cleaning company, I mean, I started with a mop bucket, a vacuum, some towels, and some cleaning products. And how do you, to me, owning a cleaning company, it's not really something that anyone can't do. All of us learn how to clean at some point in our lives, but how do you do it different and how do you do it better? And so when you say giving your customers what they want, in the beginning, that's exactly what I did, different than our competitors. So, a client will hire you to do a certain scope, or they'll say, I want this taken care of, that taken care of. And then they'll say, oh, and by the way, I really don't like it if my desk chair is shoved all the way underneath my desk because I don't like my armrests to get marks on them. Is there a chance that you can load our dishwasher for us because we have dishes in the sink? And, a lot of a lot of my competitors would say, no, it's not in our scope, or yes, but that's an additional charge. And in the beginning, when I really didn't have a lot of clients or customers, it's what I did to earn those clients and customers. I called us the boutique of clean. It's very similar to walking into a Walmart or walking into a boutique, the shopping experience, right? You go into a Walmart, it's very overwhelming. You came to us and you got that personalized touch. So when we developed what we really called a scope of work for our clients, and we actually developed it around what their needs and wants were, we would put in there the things that were out of the ordinary. Like everybody wants their toilets cleaned or they want the trash emptied. But we would put those specialty items that they had requests in, leave this door unlocked, make sure this door is open, push my chair in this way, don't do this, And so, could you please have the newspapers collected and put in an organized manner on our conference table? I mean, the requests were endless, but they were really minutiae in the sense of they weren't over the top time consuming. And yet it made their day, right? They would come in and be like, oh, wow, they really listened to what we said. And so you had to then think, well, as cleaner A left, how do you pass that on to the cleaner B, right? Because you're not going to have the same people working the same place every time. And you don't want your clients saying, well, wait a minute, I asked you to do this and now you're not doing it. What's going on? So that's why we developed this scope. And in that scope, we had specialty items so that every time we had a new employee taking on that client, they would read that scope, see the specialty items they were developed for that client, and we'd pass that scope on to the employee so they would know, as well as the supervisor, what that client request was. So I think, there's sometimes it gets out of hand. And I think there are times we would start coming in with clients requesting things like, hey, we need our light bulbs changed out and, 26-foot ceilings. I'd say, we're not OSHA certified to be able to handle that. So you really have to be able to, at some point, know what's worth that client experience and then what you need to take back that's your employee safety, your safety of your company so that you're not sued, you're not held liable. We've had so many requests where I would just be like, I'm sorry, we just can't take on the liability of that. It's not in our wheelhouse. And we'd have to say no, but people will push it. So I think when you say giving your customers exactly what they want, I think really as a business owner, it's knowing when to say yes and when to say no, because you do need to realize what it is that you can give them and what it is that you can't. And there are liabilities, risks involved. And I wish I would have known that at a younger part when I was first starting the company, because in the beginning I was like, sure. And then as we developed and grew, the risks and liabilities, responsibilities become very vast. And you really have to know what is worth taking on versus what isn't.
Excellent.
And I can ring in and resonate with exactly what Sylvia says is, our biggest way or I think our reputation precedes ourselves, and when you set out, and since I do have a nationwide, very anxious, emotionally charged couple that they're relying on us to deliver flowers for their wedding. It's time sensitive, it's perishable, and what they have in the picture is not what they receive. So we have a lot of expectations that instantly, going into, okay, you're going to get these roses that come in 25 stem bunches, and we have to, from the beginning that you hit our website, we start interacting with you. We give you, we educate you. So we spend a lot of time using all of the failures that we've had through our 20 years of where, our client is expecting this big, beautiful, bodacious bouquet, and they get these bunches that they only look down and see 12 roses, and they don't realize that there are 13 underneath. So now we engage with you the day before you get your flowers. We're sending you, a quick little like, hey, we see you have roses. And when you open up that box and you only see 12, well, there are 13 underneath. So
don't panic.
Yeah, don't panic. Exactly. One of our successes is taking that, all of our quote, quote failures and turning them into successes, into education of our client. And, when I first started out, when this business first started, it was revolutionary. I mean, here we are taking flowers from, Ecuador to the consumer's doorstep. And no one, there were not instructional videos. There wasn't much of anything. And you're looking at it going, how can we exceed their expectations? And, it would be, oh, we're really going to sell you 100 stems of roses, but we're going to send you 25 extra and not tell you about it. Just kind of like let that surprise shock of, we got you covered, almost like we understand you, we understand your needs, we understand all the emotions going on, and just call us and reach out to us. During COVID, and I find this quite interesting, during COVID, the amount of couples that called in to talk with us to help us guide them through the cancellations of their caterer, of how to do this, how to do that, was overwhelming. I mean, my staff the team was overwhelmed because not only were we at that moment, we were reaching out to our clients going, hey, your wedding's in 6 weeks. We realize it's March 13th. You're not going to have a wedding. Why don't we go ahead and we want to let you know that ahead of time. And, the big cities, they were all prepared for it. Little, in a small Alabama city, they had no idea, but being in that constant contact and once again, giving them more than just buying your flowers from us. We're your partner in success of your wedding.
Wow.
I want to touch on what Sylvia said. It was great. You said,
can you speak up a bit more, Amber? Sorry, I can hear you, but not totally.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Perfect. Thank you.
I love how you said, how do you do it different and how do you do it better? And, that's really pertinent in my position because there are thousands of real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think the way that I can give my customer exactly what they want is first identifying who they are as a human. Do they want a plethora of information or do they want the basics? Are they going to want a text or email? It's down to basics for me. What's going to work best for them? And then I think giving more, just like, is it Liza, right? Lisa? Yeah. Okay. Lisa. And doing more, exceeding their expectations, maybe just giving a little bit more, being available even after the transaction's closed for different things. I just had someone the other day who texted me and said, hey, do you have a roofer? And instead of just sending them a roofer information, I said, well, what's going on? Send me a picture. And then it's like, okay, well, actually that's condensation from the HVAC line. You're probably fine, and then she's relieved instead of just doing the status quo. It is really just, how can I do this different and be better? And and I love that. And it's so important for every person just to really identify specific needs for each individual because it varies all the time.
There's nothing really unique about most businesses. There really isn't.
Yeah.
It's not like we're reinventing the wheel. People do flowers. Lots of people do real estate. Everybody owns a cleaning company, right? But I tell people it's finding that niche. Mm-hmm. You have to have, I used to own a restaurant. And when I owned the restaurant years ago, I was like, well, what's my niche? What's going to draw people to me? And we did call ahead because people have 30-minute, maybe an hour lunches, right? So we guaranteed that if you called ahead for either takeout or sit down, within 5 minutes of you coming in, we'd have the table. So we charged ahead. So they had to pay for it ahead of time. We knew that they were coming, and we would have their food ready within 5 minutes of them sitting down so that they could enjoy the experience of having lunch without having to wait in line, without having to wait for the waitress, knowing that they could have that experience of really having that hour. We were so slammed. I had opened in this tiny little space. I only owned it for a year because I sold it. But I'm kind of toying with the idea of going back into restaurants because I love it and I love dealing with people. But it was such a niche. Think about it. Nobody does that now. Yeah. You've got an hour lunch and you called our restaurant. And then if we were full, we would just tell people, I'm sorry, we can't accommodate you today. We're already full. You're welcome to take your chances coming in. But we would reserve so many tables for our call ahead clients. We were slammed. Our lunches were huge with people just calling us, and we'd make sure they'd have a table and they never had to wait more than 5 minutes before their food was delivered. Just a different niche idea,
Awesome. I just want to say one thing. Restaurants is one area I've never worked in, and I'm fascinated by them. Again, because of I come from a high tech background, which means all your costs are up front, and then it's as cheap as heck, right? Especially now, you download the software. You don't even have a CD-ROM anymore. It is free. Like there's really no cost of goods sold past that initial development. Restaurants fascinate me. If you do start one, Sylvia, I would love to help you out somehow, just for me to get the knowledge of it, because it would be awesome.
I love them. Yeah, they're fun.
I'm sure. Now, all of you are in I'm going to go for a follow-on question, Amber, and hopefully we'll get to where you were going. All of you are in a highly competitive industry, but you're offering something different. So in my mind, that means you should be charging a bit more, because you're trying to, I know, but if we do, our good friend Michael Porter from Harvard, he would say, if you're in a niche and you're doing this subset and you're differentiating yourself, it should be higher value. So Amber, if you'd like to answer the question and finish your thought at the same time, but how do you feel about your rates compared to others? Are you able to charge more because you're giving a better experience?
Sure. Okay. So the reason why I was touching my finger is because my Tesla is like that. I don't have to, there's no service. And if you want an upgrade, you literally connect to Wi-Fi and upgrade. It is so weird. It's like a cell phone. It's okay. But back to your question. Real estate, it's pretty regulated. I can't say that you can't charge more than 6% because there are some big hitters in the Valley that do charge 7%. And for people that aren't familiar with the percentage, essentially a seller is always going to pay all of the real estate fees. And that standard 6% is split by the listing agent. 3% goes to the procuring agent and 3% goes to the listing agent. I am very nice, and I feel that real estate agents are paid very well for what we do. And I oftentimes give discounts. More so in the beginning. In the beginning, I'd say, "Oh, I'll do your listing for $1,500," and then afterwards, I'd go, "Wow, I should not have done that because that was a lot of work." But I tend to be a full service agent. I charge 6%, and by full service, I mean I bash my own sign in the ground. Like I don't even have someone that does that. I'm very thrifty. I really like to do those things and be a part of the process. So I don't charge extra for transaction coordination. I pay for my own professional photos. I help with staging and redesign. I really have a knack and eye for that. So I really help my clients kind of get their house ready. So I feel like I'm kind of more of a bargain. And that is a good edge to have in the real estate industry, though, because sellers are going 6%. That's a ton of money. So the more I think that I can offer, the better for me. And I give amazing closing gifts too. Like sometimes
flowers.
Oh,
Should be giving flowers.
Flowers. Well, as long as they're potted. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No. There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love flowers. I have an aunt that I need to send flowers to. So I am going to use your website because I think the direct from the farmer is a great service. I mean, that's incredible. What a great idea. Genius. I'm like,
we've got the cross-pollination going on. I had to do that flower thing going. So what about your experiences, Liza and Sylvia? Because I'm assuming that my inference that you should be charging more is incorrect, which is why I'm asking the question. So,
well, I just to throw in, I'm a very huge industry fresh cut flower industry advocate, and I feel if we educate more and we talk about the science behind a rose and where it starts in Israel, in a laboratory, and it takes 10 million tries to get, let's just say 1,000 stock plants, then to get it over to Africa, into, the South America and into California and propagate it. And then by the time you finally get that 7 years have passed, and that one variety of red rose, then you have to, produce it. And it's this long, very arduous process of getting flowers from the farm to your door, to your table, where you're breaking bread. And, in our industry, we need to do a better job of talking about that process, because when you find out that rose only cost you, a dozen roses only cost you X amount, as a consumer, you would be mesmerized. Every touch point, both human and, the hands that go on to get the flower to you, you'd be willing to pay $100 a rose. And as a company, we have a rule. I don't discount my product. I sell flowers. We are experts in flowers. I am not a big box store. When you order flowers from me and a catastrophe happens, people don't understand, when a tornado goes through Memphis, FedEx will not deliver. And we answer our phones. We're there. And this is kind of a big, I love that we're talking about customer service. We just got informed that we won Newsweek's Best in Customer Service for 2021, which is a big deal.
Yay. That is awesome.
Yes. And it's all because of, we're there. When hurricane, and I cannot remember the hurricane because it was such a traumatic time, we had 1,800 weddings going into it. We ended up with 2,800, and all of our competitors dropped the balls. And they just didn't answer their phones. It was overwhelming for them, where we've built a customer-centric business to where we're not going to take your order if we know that we cannot fulfill it. And I'm not willing to lower my price because the big box stores are selling something generic to you. We have a price, and it's your wedding, and you can have a risk. Take that risk and see, and hopefully it works out. If not, we'll be here to help you.
So I have so many questions. First one is the logistics brain. How did you handle all those phone calls? You can't have that many people sitting, I'm twiddling my thumbs, sitting around, waiting for the disaster to happen. So
we took everyone on the team. It didn't matter if you were a programmer in Ecuador and you barely spoke English, you were answering the phones, number one.
Awesome.
And, something that Amber said is it's really important to know how to communicate with your clients. We have a text, we email, we WhatsApp, we do, we have a lot of different ways that you can chat with us or the point of contact with us.
So chat doesn't have to mean actual physical phone call. It can mean whatever.
You can live chat, you can text with us, just all different, using the technology that's available. Yeah.
So the other question was, did you discount in your early days?
No, I did not.
Oh, so I did. So we did. Yeah. So we did. And that's one of the things that I was going to say is, I think you've got to know, obviously, what Liza's saying is her product and the lengths it takes for her to get it from point A to point Z is extensive. And so she's made that decision. And I think that a lot of companies need to decide where they're at. In the beginning, we absolutely discounted. I was working for 50 cents an hour when I first started in the cleaning business. Wow. And because I needed to build that reputation and have that clientele, right? In the last 10 to 15 years that I was in business, absolutely not. Because now I knew that I had a product that was very coveted, and I knew our name and reputation was out there. And we had spoken with our team too, and we're like, well, because we had so many people calling us saying, look, we really want you to, clean our buildings and clean our hospitals and clean our space. And yet you're almost twice as high as your competitors. Would you be willing to do it for their price? And I said, well, you're coming to me because you don't like their pricing. And so why would I discount my pricing to give you the service that I know we deliver and the amount of money we pay our employees? Because we also paid really, really well. And that was very important to me that I did that pass through to my staff. They were compensated very well for doing a very difficult job. And even now with COVID, I was still in the thick of it. We were in the middle of COVID when that hit in February, and then trying to sell the company in the middle of COVID. So it's like, I'm doing all of this mergers and acquisitions while we're in COVID, while we're working on the cleaning. and we were charging people $120, $150 an hour to do COVID cleans. Nobody even questioned it. Because at this point in time, I've built that reputation. We were the company they called. I mean, and we had clients that weren't even our clients calling us saying, look, Sylvia, I've heard you built a COVID team. We put 35 people together. We trained them. Look, we know you're not your client. So then we had client pricing and non-client pricing. We're like, well, if you were a client, we'd be doing this for this. But since you're not, I'm going to have to charge you this. They're like, fine, we don't care. Just get in here and get it done. Because they knew they could rely on us. So I think it's a matter of like where you are in the industry and where you are in the business, right? Once you have a product that everybody's wanting, there's no way I'm going to discount it. I wouldn't discount it for anybody. I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to discount it. My overhead obviously grew as well. And we had, more at stake, and our liability grew and our clientele grew. And there, it was interesting in the end, the last year, how many clients we had. It was really almost fascinating, because we had gotten to the point where, we had almost 500 employees, and I had to make a decision of either dumping in a lot of money and going national myself. Like really, that was where we were at. We had such a clientele that I would have had to license us in 50 states, gone out nationally, and really just become, like Amber was saying, this global entity. And I just decided it's not where I wanted to be. And when we had this buyer come to us, I just didn't want the risk or the liability. For me, it just started becoming, I just didn't want to keep working that hard. And so when they came to us and said, look, we're willing to give you this amount of money for you to walk away from this amazing company you've built, I was like, wow, okay, twist my arm, And
I know.
And I think it's where everybody gets to. And I got to say, Amber, I know this is so off track, but I am a jack of all trades. So I did real estate first. I had my license for almost 6 years. I was a top producing agent for John L. Scott. And again, just really had a niche that I did. And one of it was exactly what you spoke to. We ended up repping a subdivision. I did, and I brought this gal in. I am an upfront face person. I'm only telling you this, Amber, because it might be something to think about. When I hear you saying, I like to do it all, like I like to put that stake in the ground, I like to do this. Well, at some point in time, when you really grow and want to develop, you've got to say, there's a really great book out called The E-Myth to Business. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And in that book, it talks to what is it that you do best? See, in the beginning, we all think, well, I can do every aspect of it. And I was just like you. I'm like, oh, hey, I can go clean and go sell and go do this. And I'm the best cleaner, and I can't have anybody else cleaning for me because I got to clean. And now I'm working 24/7 and trying to raise my kids. And it was disastrous. The same on the real estate side. I quickly learned that I am really good at sales, and I'm very good with people. I can't stand the paperwork side of it. So I hired someone immediately when I pulled in this subdivision that I repped. And I said, look, I'll give you 50%, because here's the bottom line. It can't ever be about the bottom line. See, once you start making your business or your company about the bottom line, you're really not going to thrive. And most really successful companies don't make it about their bottom line. Yeah. It was never about the money for me in any of the businesses that I did. It was always about the human side, the factor, like you'd said, Amber, getting to know those people. So I tell people, find out what you do best. That's also part of the niche of this, right? It's not just doing it differently, but what is your niche? What do you like doing? If you're that face person, then be the face person and hire someone to do the backdoor stuff, because you will not grow at the rate that you want to grow at if you're constantly doing everything.
Well, you'll be happy to know I just hired my first executive assistant.
Good.
Great.
I also just completed my broker's license so that I can, Silver Creek is amazing. I love the brokerage. The first step to growing, like you're saying, is being my own.
Go out on your own, for sure.
Definitely.
I have to test my state and federal test December 9th. So
great.
Good.
And then pick your strong suits and hire out everything else. But I liked what you said about, hey, I am there when my clients need me. Like that was something I liked doing too. Oh, you've got a roof leak? Well, let me give you some contacts. Let me give you some names.
Whatever.
Yes.
A really great program, and you can find a program to figure out what are your weaknesses. Like a strengths finders or a cultural index, which, it's interesting because as entrepreneurs, we're like, we can do anything. And I want to know my weaknesses because I want to fix them. No, what this program teaches you is they're your weaknesses. You need to hire people. around you to fill those voids and focus on your strengths. You will go tenfold if you can focus on your strengths and let go of your weaknesses, which is hard.
I love how this has become like a let's build Amber.
So I
think it's for everybody too.
It definitely is. I just want to add to that too, because one thing about entrepreneurs is I actually believe that you can do everything. It's how much energy does it take? So for Sylvia, for you, talking to people will take no energy, probably will give you energy. Sitting down with paperwork is going to drain you in an hour, but you can do it all. It is possible. And I think that's one of the challenges with entrepreneurs is figuring out what are you best at, and then what should you farm out. So,
and on the real estate side, when I brought in the partner at 50%, we were top producing. I mean, we grossed, I mean, it was insane. I mean, really, it was that lucrative. But because I had her doing all the paperwork, right? What did I care? Still making money, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can't write.
The other person's so happy too, because they're not having to do what they can't do.
And they don't like being in front of people. She loved being behind the scenes, right? I mean, I've had an assistant for, oh my gosh, that was the first position I hired because I can't write an email. I'd literally get on the phone and I'd be like, hey, Kat, draft me this email. This is what I want to say. Make me sound good and send it. And I'd hang up the phone.
I'm such a control freak. I worry about someone, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, but I worry about someone being as eloquent in an email as I am. Or
every entrepreneur is a control freak in the first stages of their life. Everyone. And we all think we can do it better. We're all like, oh, no one's ever going to be sounding like I sound.
We actually can do it better.
Well, however, I would disagree with that. I cannot write an email to save my life.
However, how much expenditure of your time? There's only 24 hours in a day, and we've got to sleep, and letting go.
But your time will be better spent elsewhere. And when you hire the right person, like seriously, I kept my assistant even now. I sold the company and I've kept her on board. Why? Because she's great at writing my emails. She's great at
we love Alma. We know her.
Do you not love Alma? I mean, like, what's not to love about Alma? And she does everything for me. And so I can go out and do the things I love. I can call her on the fly and just say, get this taken care of for me. Get this email, do this, do that. And she's phenomenal at getting it done. So Amber, you've got to get to a point where you do release that and start trusting that. Once you build the business, right? In the beginning, it did take me a lot of time. Obviously, you don't have the resources, the finances to do that. I mean, same with Liza. She's got her own assistant. She's got a great gal that
she's about to have a baby, and I'm about to I don't know what I'm going to do. However,
I'm going to come on board and be your assistant.
I think both Miranda and Alessandra know your assistant, Liza, by name, and I think it's Danny. Is that correct?
It's Danny, yes.
Okay.
I couldn't live without her. She keeps everything together. She keeps me glued together.
I want to just one other thing, Amber. Back in my previous life, or about 3 lives ago, I was a business consultant, and the business owners of small companies, I'm saying like 10-ish employees, they're still small, who wanted to write the email, and it had to be perfect. And sometimes it does matter, and those ones you keep for yourselves. But other times, once you've got the relationship established, going, I might have not been the most polite. It's like, dude, you can't spend half an hour on this email. You've got to go out and do these other things or sell work. So it's wonderful to hear you, and I really appreciate you coming on this talk, especially with 2 experienced entrepreneurs, because you are getting a lot of the flow down, and we just love it because you're reminding us of what we were like a number of years ago. It's just fantastic to see. I've got a question. Oh, good. Okay, so we've got a question from an attendee. When building up your company at the very beginning as an entrepreneur, how do you find employees which are passionate and willing to put in the work? How do you incentivize them? Or would it be best to hire locally, hire family? So it's those initial key hires. Yeah. Sorry, we should, as I said, family, in case nobody noticed, Lisa's face kind of went, whoa. Just maybe not for family. But how do you find people that are that passionate? Because if if you make the wrong hire, things can go really bad if people don't feel the same way that you do about the business. So would you like to talk about that?
Well, I can sum this up pretty quickly, having, 500 employees and we finished with administrative staff. Here's the thing, everybody's going to make a bad hire.
Mhm.
The thing that is really, really important, and what a great question from whoever sent that in.
Yeah.
I want to say Angel or Angel, I don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry, I apologize.
When you're first starting out, and several pockets there, so I'm going to speak rapidly to them so we can get everybody else on deck. Number one, the question was, okay, how do you know that they're going to be as motivated as you are? How do you incentivize them? That goes back to what I said earlier. You can't make it about the money, right? And if they see that you're passionate, like the first employee I hired 20 years ago still worked for the company at the day we sold it. Her and her husband still worked for me. They became like part of my family. And they saw how hard I worked. Part of that is that in the very beginning, they need to know you're vested. And if you're truly vested, they will be too. As I continued to grow and we got bigger and bigger, were there a lot of employees I didn't know? Yeah, I mean, I quit doing my own hiring, right? I had an HR team. But everyone, it trickled down from my administrative staff down, knew how I ran the company and how vested I still was and how much I cared about them. And that showed in the performances that they continued to create, working it down. Leadership really starts from the top. The thing about having a bad hire, look, everyone's going to have a bad hire. So my advice would be, number one, don't be afraid of that. Hire who you think is going to do a great job. Incentivize them by you being that person that's also right there doing a great job beside them, especially in the beginning. Number two, treat them very fairly, right? I mean, nobody wants to be yelled at. They're going to make mistakes, but, be kind. If it doesn't mean you can't be firm, but be kind and be very direct. Don't be passive aggressive. Nobody likes passive aggressive. If you're having an issue, take that issue head on. If they're not working out, then give them the opportunity to work out. But you have to take that responsibility as a boss. And here's the bit of advice I wish someone would have given me in the beginning. From the very, very start, treat your company like a company. Don't act like it's just a side thing. Because for me, even I was like, oh, I'm a cleaning company. I'm a cleaning lady. I was never proud of what I was doing and I was ashamed of it. But I wish somebody would have said, this is your business. You're trying to make a go of it. Treat it as a business. So if you hire someone, treat them as an employee. Be direct, be upfront. They're going to do a better job for you. And if they're not, let them know that immediately. Never, never, never hire a family member, ever, because they won't be your family. Don't hire a family and don't hire a close friend.
Yeah, that's great advice.
I love it.
Yeah, just to continue on what Sylvia said, which is, I mean, she had 497 employees. First off, you're going to make a mistake. And as an entrepreneur, especially, a young entrepreneur, learn from it, fail quickly, be very slow to hire and very fast to fire. You're doing somebody else a grace, because if they're not performing properly, they're not feeling good about themselves. And instead of looking at it as, oh, I'm going to disappoint this person or I'm going to let this person down, look as I'm giving them an opportunity to feel successful in a different position. Secondly is understand what you're hiring for. If you're hiring somebody who's for a position that takes extreme detail, you want to get an A-type personality. And, find a way that you can proof those, like what makes an A-type personality. And, there are great, once again, assessments like the cultural index that will help you with filling in the spots in the right way. And then lastly, have accountability, and keep people accountable. People want to know what their role is.
Absolutely.
And
that's key.
What their tasks are and what does successful mean. Brene Brown and her Dare to Lead book, which once again, another one of my most favorite books. I reread it every 6 months these days, is as an entrepreneur, I'm already over here, with what we're doing in the business, where there are people that, my team, they're like, oh, slow down. So I always look and say, this is what it means to me to have my finished portrait. It's almost like you're painting a painting. you know, and some of our most some of the most famous masterpieces are people that, I mean, they're paintings on top of paintings on top of paintings. And being able to go to my team and say, this is my finished product. Now let's build it, and clearly communicate that makes for successful execution of tasks.
They want to know the name of the book.
It's Dare to Lead with Brene Brown.
Yeah.
And if y'all do not know Brene Brown, welcome to a new chapter of your life.
I don't. The E-Myth I've read, I know, I'm sorry. I've read the E-Myth multiple times because I do love it. I think Miranda will probably Brene Brown. I think Miranda's probably going on to Amazon and getting the link for everyone to order.
Great, yeah.
She's got the E-Myth up there already. Awesome. You guys, this is so much fun. I love doing these sessions. It should be more work for me. So one of my favorite questions, have you ever fired a customer?
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, I just fired one this weekend who has a drug problem and was attacking one of my salespeople. And, you know, this is somebody who spends an incredible amount of money with us. Somebody who is incredibly talented, however, does not understand. I love that I just jumped into this so quickly, but it's important because it's
all said yes quickly.
Yeah, well, and reality is that you have to protect your culture, you know, and you have to protect your peeps. Like I always say, I'm Mother Hen, and I'm going to take care of the people.
Well, you also have
team.
to protect yourself. I mean, some people are just soul sucking. I mean, they really are, and I don't care. No amount of money can bring that back. And again, I wish somebody would have told me that sooner, because I put up with so much. And especially being a cleaning lady, you've got to think about like how degrading it was. Really, people don't treat us very well. In fact, I have said several times, you think about the pandemic right now, how many times on any news channel have you seen them thanking the cleaning staff? And yet our company did thousands of COVID clean, and we're not even that big. The company that bought us has 50,000 employees. There isn't any sector that we're not cleaning, right? We're boots on the ground, our staff, getting there, cleaning in the hospitals, in ORs. We're cleaning, but yet not one mention. We talk about essential workers. We've talked about restaurant people. We've talked about nurses and doctors. That's great. Obviously, that's amazing. But how many times have they thanked a cleaning person, a cleaning staff, someone, I mean, really.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was really, there were so many times I was just so degraded, and just the way people treated me was unreal. The thing that I loved was, you know, oh, I think, you know, something's missing. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, well, I think I'm cleaning your building. I don't think I would steal from you. You know, I mean, it was just outrageous. But it just finally got to the point where I decided that I don't need those types of clients in my life. So
I think it's empowering too, and freeing. You know, they are, like you said, soul suckers. They're time suckers too. For some reason, they have zero respect for your time. And
speak up a little bit. Come a bit closer, Amber. Sorry, just losing you.
That's okay. People are time suckers and soul suckers, and so I was saying it's empowering and freeing, because as soon as you take that step and say, you know what, this has been a great relationship. I don't need this commission or the clean or, you know, the money as much as I need my time and sanity. So thank you, goodbye. And it feels so good. And then you have more time for the people that deserve it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. So that's one thing for our attendees. Yeah, it does feel wonderful though, doesn't it? When it's like, you know what? Yeah. I always say, send them to your competitors if you can. You know, there's this great organization that'll totally fulfill your needs. Just go to them. You know, they'll be much better for you.
We've done that. In fact, at the very beginning, it's, you know, we used to have a questionnaire of like, you know, can you really handle doing your own wedding flowers? You know, because it's stressful and not everyone can do it. And we want to set you up for success. And we turned away many people.
Way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. We've got another question. Angel, could you tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right? If you could just send a comment. Just hate pronouncing your name incorrectly. What steps would you suggest for young entrepreneurs when setting up their first business? Can you enter a market at a time of COVID, or will it only hurt to start a business? I'm pronouncing it correctly. Thank you very much, Angel.
I would want to ask, what type of business are they looking to start? Can they maybe answer that?
Yeah, like lipstick might not do well right now because of, the mask.
Well, it it depends on what they're looking at. I think some things could really do well, obviously. I'm just curious, what is it that you're looking at?
I think the first is think about what you want. What do you want your vision, and what do you want your business name? I think that's the most important. And then go to GoDaddy and get your URL. Those are the very important first steps.
Well, and I'm going to throw out, why, Simon Sinek's 7 questions of why. Why should you not do it? Ask that 7 times. Like, why is this going to fail? Why is this not going to work? Why is this? Because we always tend to be very optimistic. And, as you're starting, you're like, oh, this lip gloss is going to be amazing because it has all of this. Eyelashes, why is it not? Who are your competitors? What's the landscape out there? And be ready. If you can figure out, like, for example, why would I not want to sell flowers, bouquets of flowers? Well, there's a ton of competitors out there. Well, guess what? We're doing a better job than our competitors. Just brought them all in, lined them all up. And our PR rep looked at it all and was like, are you kidding me? We're getting you, like it's understanding what you're up against and what will differentiate you and where are the blind corners so that you're ready for you're ready for something to go wrong, because there's a lot. Business is easy, like we've talked about, business is understanding the business landscape. It's pretty easy, especially if you surround yourself, you talk, you ask the questions, you do your research. That is, that's easy. You're going to have things go wrong. And as many that you can predict up front, I think will determine part of the success.
I think part of my suggestions would be, if you're looking at starting a new company, number one, how much time do you have to dedicate to that? Because you really have to be realistic in the sense that any business, no matter what it is, really it's almost a 24/7. And the start of any business is so difficult. And so obviously, are you at a point in your life where you have another revenue stream? So for me, when I started the cleaning company, I also did real estate, right? The cleaning company really wasn't making enough money to sustain me and my family. I went and got my real estate license. I sold real estate. So now I'm working 2 jobs just to make those ends meet. So my suggestion would be, write down, I think, number one, what are your goals? What are your goals for this company? Where do you see yourself at the end of the year? Where do you see yourself in just the next 30 days? How much time commitment do you have to invest in this? Is it going to take a lot of money to start it? Or do you have to raise capital funds to get this company going? Obviously, you need to ask those types of questions. And then how do you get in front of the right people? Can you start a company during COVID? Absolutely. I think there's been a lot of companies that have been started during COVID, and people have capitalized on COVID. And so it's really just a matter of what it is you want and what it is that you're putting out there and what type of business it is.
I think, touching on what Sylvia said too, it's really important to save. Even if you may not have or may not be able to do 2 streams of income, like when I wanted to get in the real estate, I knew it was going to be possibly 6 months before I got my first commission. So I saved that. I looked at what's my personal overhead, and I added a 0.5% buffer, and I saved it so that for my first 6 months, I wasn't worried about my personal financial situation. So saving money is huge.
And, something else, become the expert in what you're wanting to do. For example, I spent 2 years working on farms in Ecuador, Colombia, and also running companies in Miami and Holland. And, I never slept. I walked the farms with every breeder, every opportunity I had. I just really educated myself down to, the nth degree. So when it did come, once I had my savings and I had a plan, I was able to, ramp up quite frankly, quickly, because I was an expert in trading profits.
I mean, it's interesting because It's interesting because people feel that like people are an overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. No. I mean, I was 25 years in the making. I mean, how long have you already been in business?
I've been in business since 98.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's no such thing as an overnight success. I mean, it just isn't there.
There are offsprings. I mean, there are people that can like pop up.
But even then, like you think about getting a patent, or you think about these IT companies. I mean, nothing is really overnight. It takes anywhere from 7 to 10 years to really build a business. It just does.
It does.
Well, I love what Liza said about, you know, you ramped up quite quickly and things went well, but that was after the 2-year education you got. So, you know, if we went from day one of you deciding to head this way, then it took a lot longer. So we had some discussion in there about competitors. So I want to try and put 2 questions. We're coming near the end of our time, so I'm going to try and link 2 questions together. Not sure it's going to work. How closely do you track your competitors? And then also, I want to put in that customer feedback, because those are both kind of external sources of information, and your customers may be coming from or going to your competitors. There's kind of this external ecosystem out there. How closely do you track that? Amber, would you like to start this time? We've been,
you know, real estate this is an interesting question, because the dynamic is interesting. Everyone has an aunt, cousin, mother, hairstylist, client, whatever. And really it's about being in front of your audience. So it's about reminding everybody, hey, I sell real estate, because you just have to be in the right place at the right time. You're at that barbecue, you're talking to your next door neighbor, and you say, oh, I could give you a quick market analysis. And then her sister's a real estate agent. She goes, I can't believe you used your neighbor. And she goes, well, I don't know. I was just at this barbecue and it happened, you know? And so I think just to really answer that, of course I track my competitors. I am kind of competitive. So, and I like to see too who I've worked for. I've worked for a lot of big hitters in the Valley, and I like to see what they're doing and how much they're doing. And I think knowing the market stats are really important too. So yes, I track competitors, and you know, it's just about being, I feel like, you know, really doing the best I can with my current customers and clients to build that trust and get those referrals really for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. At first I didn't have many competitors with FiftyFlowers, but then once they came on, I was obsessed with them and understanding what they were doing, and to such a point that I had to stop. And then, you know, we've moved into a different growth phase, because I think you have different phases, just like you do as a human being, as a business. And now we're at a phase where we've taken our competitors and we're using their competitive edge on us. It's almost as though, you know, we're the grandfathers. We've been in this industry. We have proprietary, you know, website, front end. And, you know, I'm competing against Shopify right now, where my bells and whistles will take, you know, to put in a chat bot, it's going to take me, you know, 6 months, where they flip a switch. So they have this technological competitive edge. And, you know, it's like we're going along and we're way ahead of them in certain areas at like 10 miles an hour, but they're coming on our rear end at like 60 miles an hour. And what we've done is we've taken that feeling of like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to say the S word, you know, they're catching up.
It's just point behind you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're catching up. We're taking that to really fuel our, you know, ignition to just move faster and think out of the box, you know, like adapting Shopify to our proprietary backend and dropping our front end. So, you know, competitors, there can be a little bit of obsession with it that can be unhealthy. However, at the same time, I do believe you need to keep your eye on the competitor and understanding what moves they're making. It's a chess game.
What about the customer feedback? I'm sure just the size of your company, you're getting quite a bit of it. And I could imagine that would be a little bit, I don't know, angst-inducing some?
No, you know, actually, especially when they're women-owned businesses, I am all about, I'll pick up the phone. And the majority of, you know, the smart competitors that we have 3 right now. Two of them did their weddings with FiftyFlowers.com. And
Wow.
they fell in love with the whole process, that they're back and they're putting in our competition, you know, which is, you know, I have to respect them, and I'll pick up the phone and talk with them and have a candid conversation and support them, because I believe there is enough landscape out there of clients that, you know, I am such a strong believer in women in business that I will support even my competitors. I mean, to be honest.
Awesome. That's Sylvia.
I think it's very important to know who your competition is, and then to just honestly do it different and do it better. Because again, none of us have any businesses here that can't be, you know, if you watch Shark Tank, they're always like, well, what proprietary, you know, product do you have? Well, real estate's not proprietary, flowers is not, and neither is cleaning. And so realistically for me, and what we did is I knew who my competition was. It was interesting. We'd go out to bid on large projects or something, and the client would even say to me, well, you know, which ones of your competitors should I have bid against you? Because I already knew that ultimately they wanted to have us. Now I'd be like, do we have competitors in this market? God, I'm not familiar. I really don't know who I could possibly recommend. I mean, I just would be that direct with them, and I'd just be like, God, you know, oh, I really don't know, and I wouldn't want to put my name on somebody else. I knew every one of my competitors, and they sure knew me. I mean, of course, we were the only woman in this industry in the entire Idaho market. There's not a female that, you know, rose to the levels that we did in the cleaning industry. You know, I just developed products that were very niche-y to what we did, which people would be like, well, what is that? But as I've already previously explained, none of our competitors gave the service we did. We had, just like Liza does, we had live customer service support. It wasn't technology. Someone could call in immediately. If there was an emergency, we had a 10-minute response time. I remember one time we were pitching the University of Utah Medical Center, just a quick little story. We were pitching to the University of Utah Medical Center against some big giants, and Trinity Health Organization too, which is a national, which is St. Al's here, which was one of our clients, but they're a national organization. And we went up against really big companies. And one of the things I said to them is I said, we have someone in our office that you can reach out to and will respond back to you within 5 minutes for a customer service problem or a complaint.
Yeah.
One of the guys in the room that we were presenting to tested that. He literally emailed her right then and there as I'm giving my presentation to why they should hire us. And she was like right on it, just like,
that's great.
You know, so, you know, I think just know your competition, don't obsess over them, because you know what, you're going to do it better. And that's really where you want to be, right? I didn't take any time to ever like really, I knew them all. I was always very friendly. I'd be like, in fact, when they'd steal one of my clients, I'd send them a thank you. I'd send them a little card. Hey, not thank you, but congratulations. I'd be like, you know what? Hey, congratulations. Way to go. And I knew I'd get it back in 3 months. I was just like, okay. But I was always very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
It's a small town.
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with kindness.
Yes.
Even when you're working in 4 states, it's still a small community, right? Everybody does end up knowing everybody.
Yeah.
What an awesome session. You guys are fantastic. It is so much fun. We only have a few minutes left. So I'm just wondering if you have any last thoughts. I'm going to go back to our topic. Oh, go for it, Sylvia.
I wanted to just really quick go to your feedback from your clients and your customers. I think that is so important. That was a great question. You know what? You really want to know that you're delivering what it is. I think that's really way more important than knowing, like really obsessing over your competition. Know that what you're giving to your clients, asking them for feedback. Like we were constantly just like, hey, how did we do? So part of our customer service team was checking in with our clients. So not only were we checking in with our clients, but part of our customer service team was also checking in with our employees. Hey, how's this job working out for you? Are you liking the people that you're working for? So you really had to make that a win on both sides, right? So we wanted the longevity of our staff. So we wanted them to feel important. One of the things that someone once told me, which was the best advice I was ever given, treat your employees as you would your clients. And we never deviated from that. In 25 years, our most important clients were my employees. They were my most important clients.
Yeah. That goes into the internal and external clients. Like, you know, we always think of the customer being the one who pays the bill. Well, no, you have your vendors that, you know, they're going to jump through hoops for you if they're supported, and your team. You know,
you won't have clients if you don't have everybody that's on the other side, right?
Exactly.
That's so much more important, because then the others will come. People forget that.
They do.
Awesome.
You know what I love most about this is I've watched both of you gals and everybody, and we're all taking notes. Even though we're all here to share our experience, it's like we're all like going, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest things is just knowing as an entrepreneur that every day, no matter how big or small, there is growth and progression that is available. And it does revolve around our customers, our clients, our processes, our employees, everything. And that openness to understanding that if you're not growing, you're dying. And
Yes.
I think that is the biggest thing about anybody in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But especially powerful women, just keeping those, satellites open for new information.
Definitely.
It's awesome. I love it. I must admit, I think that's the first time I've heard of doing a client customer survey for employees. There's lots of times you make sure your employees are happy and you do stuff, but that's just a totally different level, and your employees would feel so different too. So students will be getting that information now. I have this example. Liza, would you like to say anything, or we're not totally, it's this very random, unofficial wrap up kind of thing. I know, I love that. Everybody, this is just who entrepreneurs are. Just go do it, figure it out.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I can go back and, I've built everything from scratch. I have never taken a penny. I have, everything was, it's always been reinvestment, hard work, grit, and a lot of luck. I mean, I look back and I think about it and I'm like, ugh, it was a lot of luck. Being in the right place at the right time, and ask for help before you need it, and Boise State, y'all have such an amazing environment. I wish I could go back and go through the entrepreneur program. You
can do it on the other side of the table, and you could, by the way, I'm a fair bit older than you, and I just got my PhD a few years ago. You could.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have time to sleep right now. Maybe once my girls are grown up, they're like, yeah. But once again, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I think that's, if I could walk away with a parting word to a young entrepreneur, it is, you can do it. And build your community around you, and ask, don't be afraid to show your vulnerability. Brene Brown.
And I think setting goals and little ones, like I'll just show you really fast, but I have,
awesome.
I'm just doing this 10 things in 10 days. And it's simple stuff like playing my guitar for 20 minutes a day, reading for 20 minutes a day, because sometimes with us busy moms and entrepreneurs, you forget. And at the end of the day, you go, what did I do today for myself? And so just setting these little things, it can help in your personal life and in your business life, just keeping that balance.
Yeah. For sure.
Exactly.
Excellent. And just in case, Amber, what's the name of your company again, just in case anybody missed it?
It's Better Earth Real Estate.
Good. Better Earth Real Estate. We have 50Flowers. Sylvia, you don't have anything quite yet. So if you decide to open up your restaurant, we'll certainly have you back regardless. But we'll make sure that we get to do some advertising for you in the future. I think creating this environment where we all support everybody local as well is important. And
I'm really happy doing consulting work right now. I mean, it's great. The company that bought me, they've got me on for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm, working with other companies. I really love that. And
she's working here.
We're helping.
Way to go.
Getting, I'm very good at, I think, seeing the picture and asking the right questions and getting people moving in the directions they want. So, so I don't know. Yeah.
So you're a business coach?
What's that?
I said, so you're a business coach?
Yeah. Really it's consulting. I'm doing more consulting on that line, but working on putting together a TED Talk, and then just really working with businesses on consulting. I'm really not, I wouldn't say business coaching, but it's certainly something that I'm open to. It's just something I really like doing. And again, just helping other entrepreneurs try to make their way and get there. The thing for me is when I sit down with someone, I'll put them through a few phases and say, hey, this is what I think you need to be doing. And then it's, if they're really willing to listen and move in those directions, great. If not, then I'm kind of like, it's really a waste of both of our time, right? I've sat with people a lot where they're like, what do I need to do? And I'll say, well, let's just start with these 3 steps. I think if you could implement them in the next month, and then I get back with them and they haven't done it. So I'm really kind of being very selective about who I meet with and see. But yeah, and on a bigger scale, KBS is, a pretty large company, and I'm doing consulting work for them right now, which is awesome. So I kind of like that.
I love the progression, of the entrepreneur starting out and giving the ultimate of service and just building your network, Amber. And Liza, you've got yours very well established and having fun playing around. And Sylvia's like, I get to cherry pick now. Excuse me. To me, that's a positive term. I hope I'm not.
Oh, but, no, it's great. I have it's great.
Well,
Karen, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, Karen, you're amazing.
And we became friends the last time you had us on the panel. We just hit it off so well that we were like, oh my gosh, we've just become the best of friends. She's my new BFF.
We do everything together.
We do everything together. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I was so happy when both of you, I don't think, maybe you knew it was intentionally that you both said yes to this session, but I'm not sure that we had it planned out as much that we knew.
Well, I don't think that I really knew until you were.
I knew, and I said, and then I said, oh, and she's like, well, I think we were talking. I go, oh, I said, yes, she goes, they reached out to me too. I said, oh, I think we're on the same panel. I said, why don't we just do it at your office?
We'll always do it together.
Yeah, we'll always do it together.
Especially starting a podcast.
Yeah, we're thinking of starting a podcast together.
I am so humbled, and I appreciate you, allowing me to be the baby woman.
Oh. Well, thank you for accepting the role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're going to be very successful, Amber.
You are,
I think you're going to be very successful.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Thank you all very, very much. It's a joy to speak with you and to be able to do this. So I very, very much appreciate it. And we'll see you
Karen,
soon.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're an amazing moderator.
You're just great.
Well, thank
you.
You
really are.
So much fun. It's so easy with you guys. I just get to laugh and have fun.
That's because we're all talkers.
Yeah,
that is true.
Okay.
We'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.